Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am doing my October wrap up. So we are at the most difficult video to film every single month because seriously I don't know why wrap ups exist, but they are fun to film, just a pain to edit. They're kind of also a pain to film, but we are here nonetheless. In the month of October I read a month of 11 books, which I'm quite happy about because I slowed a bit down because school and stuff, and I'm like fine being around that number instead of the crazy numbers that were at the beginning of the year. Let's just get started. The first book I read in October was God's Grave by Jay Kristoff. This is the sequel to Nevernight and the second book in the Nevernight Chronicles. The Nevernight Chronicles follows Mia, who goes out to be trained to be an assassin. She also wants revenge on these three people in power in this kind of Roman inspired fantasy world, I would say. She wants revenge on them because they were the reason her family is dead. So in the second book, we continue the story of the first book, and I'm not going to spoil the first book, but I'm going to try to talk a bit about the second book without spoiling it, I guess. But here we are in this new plot, obviously, but of course we follow the first one, and you sort of get this like gladiator kind of plot where Mia is becoming a gladiator, kinda. I don't know if that was actually the name they used, but you get my point. To do this other thing that I'm not gonna spoil. And it reminded me so much of Spartacus. I don't know if you watched that TV show, but I watched the whole thing and I loved it. I mean, it is like, I know it's like a bit like me, but like I loved it still. And just the things that were happening and kind of the plot of Spartacus, it just reminded me of it so much, and I thought that was a lot of fun. I had like, when I imagined the scenes and the setting, I imagined the scenes and the setting in Spartacus because it just fits so well. It might also just be that they're both about like gladiator things, so they're just similar, but I just felt like it reminded me of it so much, and thereby I enjoyed it even more. I do love Mia. She's a really fun character to follow, and all the different things that were revealed that we got to know, but there's still so much more we don't know, and there's only one book left in the series, but I'm sure Jay Kristoff covers it all in that one, but I haven't read it yet, and I'm very excited to when I finally do. The only downsides, I think, of the series is just maybe the writing sometimes doesn't match with me that well, and then there's the footnotes. I like the footnotes sometimes, and sometimes they can be very long and it kind of take me out of the story, and sometimes I'm just like, I didn't really need to know that, but I can see why he did it, and it's a fascinating thing to do, and sometimes those things in the footnotes do make an appearance or like a presence in the main story, but I just think it's interesting, but it doesn't always work for me, but that's fine. Overall, I like the story. I feel like the first book was a lot of fun, which I read last month. I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars just because even though there were twists, there were sort of obvious ones, and this one I liked a lot as well, but where I think the main issue is, not if we look away from the writing that I like matches with me sometimes but sometimes not, is that it's kind of took a break from the main story and just went out to this other branch, and while it was fun, it was also, I feel like just it took too long, or just like I feel like the story staggered a bit, but maybe that's just me. But the first book was also a bit like slow sometimes, just to make it more grounded and for you to follow the story in a reasonable way. I can't even speak, but like I really enjoyed the series. I just don't think it's the best series in the whole world and etc, but I will recommend it a lot, and I have a lot of fun with it, and I gave the second book 4 out of 5 stars as well. Next book I read was The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This one has been released on the 5th of November, and it's Erin Morgenstern's newest release. It follows Zachary, who finds this old book and reads a story about himself in that book that he experienced a long time ago when he was a kid. He found this door that was painted on a wall, and it was actually real, and he could have gone through it, but he chose not to. He goes out on this investigation trying to find out why and how he was in this book, and trying to find this door again, I will say, and finds this totally other world full of magic and wonder. First of all, Erin Morgenstern's writing is totally beautiful and stunning, and we also got these other small stories in here, which are like the other stories in the book that he's reading and other books that I've found throughout this book. So there's books and stories within this book, and I just loved it. I love how they're all connected. I love the story of like the love for stories and the romance in here between Zachary and Dorian, this other boy he meets, and I just love the mystery and the action. I loved everything. It was so original, and just like being where they are in the different places, just like learning about everything was great. I feel like the ending can have a bit more of a resolution feeling to it, because we build up all this and we get the resolution very quickly and not as satisfying as I would want it to be, but I really enjoyed it. I loved it a lot because like as a reader, as a person that loves storytelling, it's just perfect, and I give it 4.5 to 5 stars. I have a full video review of this up on my channel, so you can go check that out if you're interested in more thoughts, but literally I just stand there and gush about it because I can't find words for it. So yeah, I will leave a link to that down below. Speaking about reviews I have up on my channel, I also have Girls of Storm and Shadow by Natasha Nagan here, and this one is also being released on the 5th of November. This one I also have a full review up on my channel, so you can go check that out if you're interested. But this is the sequel to Girls of Paper and Fire, and we follow Lei and Ren and other new characters getting this new quest after the events of the first book. While I don't want to say the exact plot, because if you're watching this and haven't read the first book, I will be spoiling the end of that, and I don't want that. But again, check out my review for more thoughts. Overall, if I'm gonna talk some spoiler-free thoughts, not the plot, it would be that I just really love the story. It's an Asian-inspired FF romance fantasy with demons. It's amazing, and the more I've been thinking about this, the more I enjoyed it. I feel like even though there's a journey quest story in this that I'm not particularly fond of, it was done really well. Natasha just expands on the world so magnificently, and I just enjoy learning more about it. The characters are done so well. Their discussions and thoughts and just like how they treat each other, it just feels so real and genuine, and she's not afraid to hurt you and tell the truth to each other. It just feels so real and great, and I just love the characters and the world she's created here. Ren and Lei is just a complex and dynamic relationship that just gets explored so much deeper in the second book. And as I said, I've been thinking about it and just realized how much I actually enjoyed it after finishing it, even more like as time has went on, and I'm so excited to see the third book and how it all will wrap up. But again, more thoughts in my review, so that was just my overall thoughts, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but probably closer to 4.5 if I could give half stars. I then read Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. This one, I chose to read it because it's October and I knew it was a murder, thriller, mystery thing, and of course I can't remember the main character's name, but there's this really fancy school where like people who has really unique abilities and creativity sides of their lives goes to. It's prestige, and it's like on the top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere, kinda. And a long time ago on that school there was some murders happening, and it's like known for that as well, but also for the very rich dude who made that school. And the main character goes to that school. She comes in after being obsessed with a crime that happened there, and she wants to go there to solve it that happened a long time ago. So she arrives at the school and is determined to solve this crime, and there's also maybe new murderings happening present day, and we also got flashbacks of what happened then, and basically it's a big mystery coming together in pieces. The main character also get like really intense panic attacks and have like anxiety because of this, of course, and I thought that was really well portrayed. I also really enjoyed the different characters and how unique they were and their different interests and what they had done to like be able to go to this school. I loved learning about the school. It sounded amazing, you know, except for the murders that happened there, and I would totally go there if I had any kind of skill whatsoever. I'm not the biggest fan of murder mysteries and thrillers and stuff because I feel like they're all really recycle the same story. So I could see some really unique parts in this one, especially as I said, the characters really stood out for me, but I wasn't that interested in the mystery that happened that long time ago, and also like the mystery that happened in present day. I was interested, and of course I wanted to know what happened and why and how, but like it took some time, and then I realized it's a trilogy, and instead of giving us the answers in the first book, I guess we won't get answers until like the second and third book. And a murder mystery, I will forget all the details until I read the next book, so it just frustrated me a bit that I thought maybe the main character would solve different mysteries in different books, but apparently not. And that's fine, like I like that the author uses time to explore this and reveal all this, but also it is frustrating in a good way, in a bad way, maybe a bit of both. I still enjoy myself and had a good time with it, and as I said, I really enjoyed the characters and the writing was very easy and nice to read. I give it 4 stars, but I would give it like 3.5, and I thought it was an okay book. It just didn't blow my mind. It wasn't as amazing as I thought it would after seeing some people really rave about it, but that's fine. You don't need to like everything everyone else's likes, but I liked it okay, and I guess I would recommend it if people were interested in a thriller and a murder mystery, to just, if they were into those kinds of books. I then finished Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This I listened to audiobook and finished my reread of The Infernal Devices. The Infernal Devices is the prequel series to The Mortal Instruments in the Shadowhunter Chronicles, and it follows Tessa, who is thrown into this Shadowhunter world and finds out that she can shapeshift as well. So this wraps up the story, and I had kind of forgotten a lot because it's a long time since I read the books, and I've forgotten how early they kind of beat the villain and all the things that happened after was really long. I thought like killing the villain and then the story over, but no. And I found it really fascinating to learn about them so much after, because I feel like that's not that usual. I mean, of course we get this whole sequel series to this prequel series where we will soon next year, and I'm so excited for it. That was the reason I reread it in the first place. Yeah, just the aftermath of everything just breaks my heart, and I was listening to it and I was just lying in my bed and I started to cry almost, and it was very emotional and I really enjoy it. I feel like there's just not that much to say except that I love Will and Jem and Tessa so much. They're like my favorite people to follow. I always preferred the Infernal Devices over all the other Cassie Clare series, even though they're all okay in their own way, and I can't wait for Cane of Gold that is coming next year. Then read The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black, and this one I also read in the mood for October because I knew it had dark and forest in the title, so it fits, and it follows fairies. I mean, Holly Black is called the Fairy Queen, fairy stories, and I read The Cruel Prince by her, and I know that there's a lot of fairies in that one. Obviously it's a fairy book, and this one was also a fairy book because I wasn't completely sure about going into it. So I again can't remember the main character's name. She and her family lives in this town that live really close to fairy, and they're really used to weird things happening and the fairies being near them, etc. Like her mother was once painting in the woods and the fairy came out and was like, yo, I really like your painting, and because I liked it, I'm gonna give your son a boom that like makes him play beautiful music that people will be mesmerized by. Like there's also this coffin with this fairy boy in it, and it's been there for as long as people can remember, and what happens in the book is that suddenly this fairy boy is out of his coffin, and the main character and her brother has been dreaming about this fairy boy for years, getting to know him, making stories about him. Like the whole town basically, I was gonna say almost falls apart and goes into your fancy because there's this monster coming out, and yeah, the fairies are there and there's loads of things happening. It's hard to say like a concrete synopsis, but that's basically what it's about in the beginning. It's only a 300-page book and it got in so much. The characters are, by the way, fantastic. You get to see every single perspective, not that it's told from every single perspective, but you get to know all the different intentions and thoughts, and there's just these reveals that I didn't expect at all. It is a standalone story and I thought it was really good. I could definitely see like all the different fairy aspects, and also again recognizing a lot of it in The Cruel Prince, but it's not told in the same world. I think there was like an interview in the end where she said that this is like a tiny part away from all the other main parts in fairy, where like they made their own place, I would say. So yeah, they were not with the Unseelie Queen and Unseelie King, they were with the Elder King, so they were like their own little place or something. But now I need to read more Holly Black books to see all the different fairy things and stuff. But yeah, I really like how she portrayed them, and also just like the reveals and the action and everything, and just all the different dynamics the book had, because it had a lot. And again, if you're sleeping on this book, I think you should really read it because it was great, especially if you like a cool little prints and stuff. Like seriously, it was great, and I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Did I just say that? I don't recall. I then read This Savage Song by V. Schwab, again in honor of October, because I knew it was monsters in this book. And all I really known about this book before was that it follows Kate and August. I actually do remember the names this time. And August is a monster wanting to be human, and Kate is a human wanting to be a monster. So I knew there was this kind of conflict between humans and monsters in this world. And reading the book, I guess that's what it's about. I mean, there's this one side that has the humans, and they have the most powerful demons on the side. There's only 3 of them, and August is one of them. And they eat other people's souls. And then there's the humans, who has the 2 other types of demons on the side. Basically those who eat blood and flesh. They had names, but they flew by me. And those 2 sides have been fighting for like territory and stuff for years, but like now they are at peace. But there's like a really fragile peace. And while like this took a while for me to get it, because I thought one side was only demons and one side was only humans, but they were like not. There is different on each side. But I really like the different kind of demons and the world building V. Schwab created here. V. Schwab is one of my favorite authors, so of course I really enjoyed the 2 main characters and the world. I just felt like the plot was a bit simple. I predicted what was really going on like way before it happened on page, and just because of course you predict something doesn't mean that the book is bad or less or something. It just feel like for me it was just really obvious what was going on, so the plot fell a bit flat for me. And for me, plot is very important, so I wouldn't exactly say I was disappointed, but it just fell a bit flat. It wasn't like as great and as fantastic as I thought it would be, but I did still, as I said, enjoy myself and had a lot of fun with it, and all the parts I enjoyed I loved a lot, so there's really not that big of an issue. But yeah, I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars, and it was a book that I read also super quickly, so it went super fast by. When you read faster, you feel like you read more, so then you feel more productive, so that's nice. I then read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This one I listened to audiobook, and by the way, the narrator is just so good. It's the same one for all of the Grisha Wars books except like Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom that has several narrators, but she's one of them there too. Because I don't have a physical copy, I chose the audiobook route. And I don't even know what to say. Ninth House is Leigh Bardugo's newest release, and it's an adult fantasy book set with the main character Alex, who starts Yale. She got in, but only because she really works for this society called the Ninth House. And the Ninth House is one of the many societies, and the different societies do different kind of magic. And the Ninth House is kind of like the ones controlling that everyone is doing nothing more than they should be doing. And she is called in because she can see ghosts. And in this world, being able to see ghosts, or grays as they're called, is a really big thing. And she can see them without taking this drug that the other people are doing, which is like a really unique ability. And the story starts out from there. We get flashbacks of when she started in training, of being in the Ninth House, and we also get present day where a murder is happening and she going out to investigate why and how this murder happened. I've seen different feelings and opinions of this book, and yes, trigger warning for sexual assault as well and drug use and stuff, but definitely a dark book, and it was full of murder and ghosts and dark things, but also it was very entertaining. I really liked the mystery aspect of it and how it just felt so real. It's a urban fantasy, right? It is set in our world at Yale, in a place that is real. And I just felt like I forgot that it wasn't real. I felt like it was in our world so profoundly that I like forgot that this was not a real story. Alex is such a snarky rose with thorns, and I loved her so much. And also like the whole mystery of it, like what is going on. But I can see that the beginning is very confusing because I didn't really know what was going on then either. That's like the main thing with like all adult fantasy books. You don't know what's going on in the beginning. I never do, but when you get to the point of knowing, of realizing the system, the world that was created, there's always a good payoff, I feel like. Okay, not always, but very often it's just payoff when you insert it in a world that you need to be to get into a fantasy. You are in there and then it's so enjoyable, and I feel like the writing was just so good and well developed, and the things that like didn't make sense and stuff always made sense in the end, and like the thing that made different things possible, or like the mystery, like it was all explained in a good way. I feel like again this one was a bit, I wouldn't say predictable, but I did guess some parts and aspects of the story that I did want to guess, but like I really like plots, as I said many times, and I feel like the plot here was like the best and the most mind-blowing. That is the word I keep using to describe it, but I really enjoyed it, and I just enjoyed getting to know Alex and establish all this, and I'm very excited to see where the story will go and just falling in love with more characters. I feel like it was done so well. This is another book that I thought more about the more I have enjoyed, just like Girls of Storm and Shadow, and I give it 4 out of 5 stars, but I think maybe I would give it 4.5. I kind of want to reread it physically, so like I could get in all the names and stuff more clearly, because when it's told me like, whoa, I forget them. So yeah, I think that covers my thoughts for this book, I guess. I don't even know anymore. I then read Hazelwood by Melissa Albert, which I've been very excited for a long time, and again I read it because it's October and I knew it was like going into the woods and stuff and fairy tales and stuff, and it fits the mood, I guess. This one follows Alice, and she and her mother has been on a run for almost her life, running from bad luck, and her grandma wrote this weird book full of short stories based on fairy tales, or like with fairy tales, and lived in this Hazelwood, and they never visited her and stuff. Then she died and I thought they were safe, but ultimately her mother gets kidnapped, and it is said that she's taken to the Hazelwood, and Alice goes after her, wanting to find her mother, obviously. We get to know what's really happening. We also get the stories that was told in this book that is basically impossible to get a hold of. Normally in fairy tales it's only often that there is a moral or something good about the story, like a reason for it, but here the story was just bloody and awful, and I absolutely adore that. I kind of like, here I liked the plot, but I didn't like the characters that much, and I didn't like the writing sometimes. Lol, I'm just back and forth all the time. But I liked when we found out everything that was going on. It was very unexpected. I didn't expect it to be the reason for everything that we got, and I really liked that. I really liked that it was very dark, but overall like I didn't enjoy myself that much. I was kind of like, can we get to the point at some point where they just kind of went around, but like I really did like the end though, when everything was like explained and gotten into place. But overall I think it was just like okay for me. I don't know exactly what I expected out of it, but it was an okay book, and I would perhaps recommend it. I give it like 3 out of 5 stars, which isn't a bad rating. I just didn't enjoy it super much, but I did enjoy it, so yay. And then finished Beginning of the Night by Tamsin Muir. I listened to audiobook as well, and this is a sci-fi adult romance fantasy, and it's sci-fi as I said, so it's set in space and it's adult, and listening to this made me a bit crazy because there were so many names and so much going on, and I forgot who everyone were every single second because I couldn't look up and see who they were because I didn't have anything to look up in, because I don't have a physical copy here, and it made me a bit crazy. And of course like that's the fault with me because I'm apparently stupid, but I enjoyed this book so much still. I was very confused. Again, clicking all the pieces into place in a fantasy or a sci-fi fantasy is hard, but when it was all in place it was just getting so good. But here, this is full of Gideon the Knight, who is stuck at the 9th house. I know, 9th house, both of them, and she has been stuck there her whole life and she wanted to escape, and her arch nemesis Harrow is like the princess there and has been holding her there for forever, or like her whole life. And then it comes out that the Emperor, the Lord Undying, wants new lictors, which are basically people who become immortal and super powerful under him, and all the people that become that is necromancers, and so is Harrow, the princess. She's also a necromancer. She can control bones and stuff. It's super cool, and she goes out to become a lictor, but she needs someone to fight her, protect her, and she makes Gideon be that fighter protector for her. And they go into this spaceships planet to become this lictor, and then people also start dying. So there's a lot of things going on, and the world is just so good and original, and the characters are great, and the plot was super fun. I mean, I did not expect these things to go as planned, so it didn't go as planned. What just bothered me a bit about the plot, I love that I always have an issue with something. It's just that we got all these like clues and like mysteries that they're gonna solve to become these lictors, but since like, as I said, not everything goes as plans, we don't get like to the answer of it and how they were gonna become it, because other things happen instead. Shouldn't be a spoiler because it's kind of obvious that that won't happen, and I just felt like we wasted so much time doing all that for no reason, but it's okay, it's fine. The Afro-Romance hair is just one of the greatest enemy to lovers I have ever read. It was done so well, and I can't say more than that, but I'm just waiting for the second book and hoping for things. That's all I'm gonna say. If you read it, you know what I mean, because how it ended, just, I need a second book. That's, yeah. So yes, I was a bit confused, and again, getting into the world is hard, but there were also some reveals that was very, very good. Like getting in the end when everything clicked into place was really great. It was the same hair when we found out things about Harrow and like all the things that we only see Gideon's perspective of before was just so great, and there was just there was so many good moments. Again, a lot of characters. I know there was like an overview thing of all the characters in the beginning because I read it in the audiobook, but I didn't remember that, so I need a physical copy. And again, I think I will reread this physically, just like with Ninth House, because I just feel like I need it and it will be great. Give this 4 out of 5 stars, and I very much enjoy myself and recommend a lot. And the last book I read in October was Library of Souls by Ransom Briggs. This one is the 3rd book in Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children series. Used to be the final book, but now he expanded the series with 3 books. The series follows Jacob, who finds out that he is a peculiar, and peculiars are basically people who has different abilities, basically X-Men, joking, halfway. And they have been hunted down by these horrible monsters for years and hides therefore inside these time loops to where they can't access them or like find them, so that they won't be hunted down and be murdered. And Jacob finds this one loop in the 1st book and finds out he's peculiar, and he has this ability to see the horrible beast hologasts that are hunting them, and no one else can see that they are invisible, and that's why it's so hard to fight them, and that's why they have been dying. And this 3rd book is long beyond that. It starts exactly the moment the 2nd book ends, and it's a while since I read the 2nd book, so I had no idea what was going on, but it went fine. I do this a lot and it all goes fine in the end. I got the hang of it after a while, and it's basically just full action adventure mode, and some things were just revealed and was really great. I found, again, I realized how much I really enjoy the characters, and I really liked writing. The photo does give an extra original spark to the story. Overall, I'm just like, it's a totally fine story and I would recommend it and stuff, but it's not like my favorite story ever. But I gave it like 2 out of 5 stars, and I did enjoy myself, and I am gonna read the whole series. I just feel like it's so weird that Jacob has a thing with Emma, who is one of the other peculiars, and she had a thing with his grandpa because she lived in a time loop. And I just feel like it's so strange to have a thing with a girl who had a thing with your grandpa. Like, why would you do that? That's strange, but whatever, they can do what they want. It's a book. But yeah, I really especially enjoyed the ending, like after the boom boom boom, the ending, because it was just interesting to see him with his parents. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't wanna spoil more. I don't even know if I spoiled anything already. Not my favorite series in the whole world, but a series I have enjoyed and don't regret reading because it's a fun adventure story. That's all. Yay. And I do really like people with powers and seeing the different things they can do. I do like that. And I loved actually seeing Jacob growing into his own and the different new sides of his abilities. And now I'm gonna stop talking. What you usually get out of this video is that I am actually never satisfied, but are we ever? I enjoyed a lot of books this month, as you can see, a lot for the different reasons. I just feel like a lot of different kinds of stories this month, and I enjoyed them all. It's possible to see the flaw in something and still love and enjoy it, just so you know. I'm just trying to give different kind of reflections on something when I talk about it. I don't know how long we've been here, but I feel like it's been a long while, so I will end this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy my wrap up. If you wish to talk about any of these more with me, then please hit me up because I would love to, or share with me some books that you read in October, and you will see me soon in the video. Bye!